Hey everyone, Ethan here from Extreme RC 4x4, and today I am outside filming a review video of the Team Associated CR12. Now, it's been a week since this truck arrived in the mail for me, and I've done a few modifications as well as some maintenance, and basically gone through the entire truck, as well as I've driven it multiple times. So first of all, before I take the body off and start talking about some other things, I just wanted to mention that the body clips are really tight, so you don't really get a lot of Lexan rattle like you normally find with Lexan bodies. So these body clips are really nice and tight. But what I'm going to cover first are the things that I don't like about the truck, because I'm sure that's what a lot of people want to hear about that are interested in purchasing one. So here's the first thing, this cable here that goes to the lights. In order to take that off, you have to take all the wire off all the way back to your radio, which isn't really a huge deal, but if you leave this loose, then it's bound to get caught up in your tires. The servo mount from the factory, I really disliked that, and it made the steering geometry really awkward. The wheels would lock in one direction and the servo wouldn't be able to pull them back. The other thing that I really didn't like was the factory radio. It seemed really jerky, and so I installed this old axial radio, which I really don't have any issues with. It seems like the truck is much more controllable and makes it really enjoyable to drive. It would have been nice if they had a set of rock sliders that kind of match the theme of the body. I'm not a huge fan of the design of these, but I guess it is a functional rock slider which protects the body, so that is a good thing. Going and getting into talking about the size of the truck, I really actually like this size. It fills kind of a gap in the market between the micro crawlers and the 1/10 scale trucks. Now this truck seems really small just because the 1/10 scale rigs are getting continuously larger and larger. I compared this to my TRX4, which is a fairly large truck, as well as my Trailfinder, which is kind of on the smaller end of the 10th scale spectrum. When you do get this truck, what I found that I really liked about it was how easy it is to travel with. I travel up north to our cottage with a truck sometimes, and it was much easier for me to bring this truck than, say, my TRX4 or Trailfinder or something of that nature. Just because of its small size, I was able to pack this, my clothes, the radio, some tools, just in case we did have to fix anything, and I was able to pack all of that into a fairly small duffel bag, which beats having to leave the truck outside of the bag just because it's too big. Go ahead and shut this off. Some of the issues that I have with this size of truck is just the size of the axle pumpkins here. I'll go ahead and show you where the differentials sit in here. It is a fairly large differential for the size of the truck, but I have a feeling that was just to make sure that everything was going to be strong enough for the abuse that you're planning to put it through. But I find that those differentials get hung up a lot, as well as the center transmission. The center transmission is not terrible, but it does hang down quite a bit, simply for the fact that the skid plate in the center is actually part of the transmission housing. So this plate here that I used to fix the servo mounting issue moved our servo back just slightly. You can see that this would be kind of the center of where that first hole would be. So it is moved back quite a bit, but not a huge amount, and it is kind of still in that factory position where it's sitting, and it clears everything perfectly. So if you are interested in one of those, I have I'm going to leave my email in the description, so shoot me an email if you're interested. I'm not sure what I would be asking for those yet, but I do have the production version, I believe, to be ready. The thing I like about this truck over going to a micro crawler, if you are debating between sizes, I feel like this vehicle is being able to be larger. The parts are much more durable, as well as how our radio and the speed control are two separate components. That's really important when you're modifying a vehicle, because you can't just replace the radio without replacing the ESC if the ESC and the radio are one combined unit. This also makes it really easy. Since we are using a 380 size motor in this truck, we can replace this with a huge variety of motors. The 380 motor spectrum is really large, and you can find a lot of other motors. So if you want to go faster, I'm sure you can find a faster motor, and if you want to go slower, you can find a slower motor, which is what I might try to do in the future, just to get a little bit more torque out of it. This rig is plenty fast. If you look up some of the videos of the Thunder Tiger 4x4, which is what this truck is based off of, that truck is also pretty fast. So, another design flaw that I did find is that the center transmission, you cannot take the drive shaft off without removing the top casing of that center transmission, because the casing is sticks out too far, and it covers those screws on the drive shaft, so I was not able to pull those off. You'd have to take the casing off. All of the gears in this truck are plastic except for the pinion gears and the axle. The ring gear is plastic, but the ring gear is metal, oddly. The tires, I think these tires are really awesome. The tall and skinny size really is something that I like, and I think these rims look really awesome on here too. The chrome matches the bumpers really well, and it really helps complement the truck. Another thing that's really awesome is the LED headlights that come in it. It would be awesome if it came with tail lights as well, but the front headlights make driving this truck at night a lot more enjoyable, just because you can see a little bit more. I did drive this a little bit at night, not a ton, but those headlights are really bright. Maybe not as bright as one of your LED light bars, but there are only 4 LEDs in there. So another plus to this truck is that it comes from the factory with metal links. The steering links are plastic, but the links for the axles are metal. And one other thing about that is that the front uses a 4-link setup, even though the servo is on the chassis. And if you know what bump steer is, you'll know that having a pan hard bar would be much better, just because it eliminates bump steer. But really, on this small of a truck, bump steer is not an issue, especially if you're not going to be driving it fast. If you don't know what a pan hard bar, if you don't know what a pan hard bar is, I wouldn't really worry about it, just because it's not really an issue on this truck. The bumpers, I didn't really find that I was hanging up on them too much, and they look pretty good on the body. I like all of the molded scale details. The tail lights are hollow in the back, and they're just a sticker, so if they would have gone ahead and made those some real LEDs too, I think that would look much better. However, you would have wires coming out there. So all in all, for the $170 that I paid for this at RPP Hobby, it was a really good deal. If you wait for a little while, usually they'll have a holiday sale and they'll go 15% off on everything. So that's when I got mine, or pre-ordered mine. Retail about $200 on these trucks. And if you're not dead set on getting a 1/10 scale rig, these are plenty fun. If you're looking for a larger truck, maybe you could even buy 2 of these. If you have kids or whatever, it's plenty of fun to wheel with other people. But I'm hoping to do more modifications to this truck in the future. I'm not really certain on what I want to do yet. But on that topic of other vehicles, one thing I do notice with cheap trucks is that they cheap out on the suspension. And this truck, the suspension is really nice on it. You get that kind of droops, the suspension droops down, so it's fairly realistic. Like on your car, you have that droop, as well as the amount of flexibility that this truck has from the factory. And the soft suspension really makes the truck look a lot heavier than it is. Driving it, the one thing I did notice was that you can definitely feel how light it is. I'm used to heavier trucks, and driving a light truck required more wheel speed to get over obstacles, but that could also be in part due to the small tire size. If you were interested in changing out the tires, although there's not many on the market at this size right now, you can simply change them out with any other tire that you see on the market, just because of the fact that this also uses a 12mm hex and your standard nut on the end of the axle. So nothing complicated. It would be really easy to swap those out if you wanted to. I did put my RC 4-wheel drive Mud Thrasher tires, which come factory on the Trailfinder 2, on here. I didn't actually set them on here, but I set them next to it, and they look pretty large on here just because of the width. But overall, this is a really nice truck. I love the paint on it. It's just really cool, the metallic blue. If I were going to get another one, I would definitely go blue. I think the black looks really dark with the black windows. It would be awesome to see some clear windows, but I guess at the factory, to streamline production, just being able to paint the whole body blue and then throw some stickers on it is much easier than taping it all off. Like this whole two-tone piece is a sticker. But don't really have much else to say. If you guys have anything else you are wondering about, please feel free to leave that in the comments, and I'll try to answer that to the best of my ability. But overall, really nice truck for $200 or the $170 that I paid for it. I would probably buy another one if it came to it. But thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.